I'm really stoked that we have Tamuz in the house today. Thank you for taking the time out.
Of course.
Amazing. So, before we dive in to all of the drum tea, let's start with who you are, what you do, and we'll take it from there.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming here. My name is Tamuz. I am a drummer, producer. I play a bunch of other instruments as well. What do I do? I today I would say I'm a sample pack maker. That's a thing, and a producer. I make sample packs, which is basically me recording just back here, as you can see, the drum set with lots of other drum sets that I have here. And then I sell them on my website and a bunch of other websites that probably all of you have heard, like Splice, Tracklib, on and on. And also I produce my own music, and I produce some of the music of others, collaborations, and
That's awesome. So, I kind of want to go back to the beginning. What inspired you to get into the space of sample pack creation? And did you start producing before you played drums? Like, what was your kind of like musical creative journey in that sense?
yes. Um, I would start from the beginning. So I would say I started playing drums. So I technically picked up a guitar for a second when I was, I don't know, like 10 years old, but not really though. But like my first actual instrument was drums. I was around 13 years old when I started drumming. I had like one drum teacher that I was with him for like a year or two, but then I just found myself just more trying to do stuff by myself. And I'm very much so a YouTube Academy graduate type drummer or musician. Definitely YouTube has been a huge part of my life. In terms of producing and making sample packs, it's something that I actually never thought I'll do. It was a very random thing. So I would say at the beginning, a little bit before COVID hit, I got like two mics. I got like an SM7 and an NT1 that I still have it here. It's a great mic, by the way. And I just started recording myself playing drums. And then I pressed record, and then I listened to it, and it sounded like pure shit. And I hated it a lot. And then I was just really, 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 really obsessed on keep recording myself playing drums and making sure it won't sound like pure shit. And then at a certain point, it sounded a little bit better. And then within the years, like I really, really tried to actually like make my drums sound like other records or like some type of inspirations that I really like. And when it comes to producing, I started playing other instruments and like playing around like Ableton and producing, I would say, during the time I started recording my drums, which was, damn, I don't know, like, maybe a little bit before, like 7 years ago. I would say 7, 8 years ago. And yeah, that's my creative journey, I guess. Like,
Right on. So I'd love to kind of dive headfirst into your creative process because your drum mixes are wicked good. But before we get to the
thank you.
mixing aspect, I'd love to start with the recording, like at the
Of course.
source. So when it comes to drum kits, do you have a specific sound or kits that you gravitate towards, and kind of what's your mic preamp situation going on?
Yes. So for many, many years, my let's start with the drums. Many, many years, my drum preference was the cheapest, shittiest drum I can find that used to, and at a certain point, it like literally became my sound. Like lots of my friends and people I worked with, like it was kind of recognizable a little bit, but because like I just didn't have budget, and I just got the cheapest drums. And then I feel like an extremely important part that in retrospect, when I look at about it, like I was really obsessed. Other than recording drums, I was really obsessed with tuning drums when I was practicing drums as well. And I think I truly believe that you can make an amazing, a dope, a cool drum sound from literally every drum set, literally. And what I tend to go to more these days, I definitely, it really depends on what kind of sound am I looking for. If I'm looking for more of that um, raw, old school um, Motown, CTI, tape machine inspired kind of sounds. Definitely, I would go more to the old school drum sets. Right now, I have, if you can see, I have two different made in Japan in the 70s drum set combined. So the blue one, it's an Accent, which Accent is like a Taiwanese brand of Ludwig back in the 70s. And the really cool bass drum, that's an unbranded made in Japan kit, also back in the 70s. But definitely to get that raw sound, I would go into more raw, natural, vintage sounding drums with just usually playing more on the quiet type playing. Um, if I try to make something more in your face, more hip hop, more R&B, I would use it a little bit different. I would probably tune them less high usually. But the snare, maybe I would actually crank it up a little bit. And more modern type drums, I have a bunch of other drums in here. Yeah, in terms of preamps and other cool analog gear. So to be honest, I don't have crazy preamps. I would like to have crazy preamps one day, but basically my entire thing is work with what I got. That's since I started recording drums. Like I said, had an SM57 and an NT1 with like the shittiest Focusrite audio interface that I like with the shittiest preamps. And I'm definitely the biggest supporter of like know your DAW and like know your plugins because that can make your sound. But I also have a really nice tape machine that I got 2 years ago, and I do push a lot of stuff through it because it makes it sound good and it makes me feel good. Because who doesn't like to see the view meters move and the reel to reel just move a little bit. But other than that, I have like a really basic Focusrite. It's like a Focusrite 18i20, and then I have like an ADAT connected to it, and then I run my drums through it and a bunch of other things. I would like to have some other stuff in the future. I'll probably want to grab something. I was looking on the UAD for a second, so I'm gonna probably get that real soon. But yeah, I don't have anything crazy or special.
Sick. And in terms of the way that you like to mic your kit, is it really sample pack vibe dependent, or do you have a kind of standard setup that you like to roll with? I'd love to hear your kind of takes on drum miking before we get to the mix.
Yes.
And
yeah, so drum miking, it's something I experimented a little bit within the years. My current situation in terms of my vision into drum miking is you mic the drums when you move into the studio and you don't dare to touch it whatsoever. I know some people like it differently. To me, it just works because I have like a few positions that I found that are really just like I really vibe with and make my stuff like I know what I'm necessarily about to anticipate. And then I'll just move the drums. So I'll probably never move the mics. Yeah, in terms of my actual mic setup, so I would say I have 13 mics connected at all time, but I'm never using 13 mics in a mix. I don't know if I've ever used 13 mics in a mix. My drum mixes can move in between one mic to 6, 8, like max. It's very rare that I'm using 8 mics, but sometimes 8 mics. Would you want me to say what are the mics and how do I?
yeah, definitely. Would love to hear kind of what you have going on.
Yeah. So my mic situation is also kind of similar to my preamp situation. I do try to work with what I have and make the best sound that I have. But like right now, my mic situation is, like I said, there's I think 13 mics standing at all times. So let's start with the hi hat. So the hi hat, I have right on top of it. If you can see, ooh, there you go. Um, this is like an SM7 replica kind of thing. To be honest, I don't know the name of the company. I just got it once on Sweetwater, and it sounds great. Sounds like an SM7 basically. There, let's go to the snare. I have like a double SM57 on the snares, bottom up and bottom. You can never go wrong with an SM57. Just sounds amazing. I have a Sennheiser 441 in here. It's like a crotch mic, kit mic kind of situation. And then right next to it, closer to the floor tom, I have a Cascade Fathead, but it's not necessarily both of those mics. So I don't have like tom mics or like cymbal mics, or like the only actual, I don't technically, I don't have even have a kick mic. The only drum mic that I have is basically the snare, and all of the other mics I just like to look at it more as like a drum kit mic. So we said the Cascade, and next to the Cascade you can see this one. This is a T-Bone TB500, I think, something like that. Something TB500. It's a pretty basic but actually very cool ribbon mic. On top, you have a double overhead. I'm trying to, my hands game are, there you go. Boom. I have like a AKG P170. It's like a small diaphragm condenser. Very cool mics, very simple. And then if you can see this one, boom. This one, this is more like another room mic kind of situation. This is the Electro Voice A135, 195, something like that. If I'm not mistaken, if you guys know, I don't remember the actual name of it. And also I have another room mic, if you can see there, next to the diffuser. This is a Golden Age ribbon mic. This is one of my best sounding mics, to be honest. Like a lot of my mixes are going through this mic. For some reason, this spot in the room with the ribbon mic, beautiful. And also there's another mic underneath the floor tom that you cannot, oh, you can see it. It's this silver thing. This is like I don't know what the name of the company, but it's just like an Elvis looking kind of mic, you know, this one. And it catches like a lot of the punchiness of the kick and like the bottom snare. It actually sounds really nice. And I think that's my mic setup. Yeah, in terms of my drums.
Wicked. So before we move on, we got a question in the chat. Guys, we're going to, after we chat a little bit about his mix approach, we're going to go into your question. So feel free in the chat to start dropping whatever questions you have. After we chat a little mixing, we'll get to all of them. And we'll be with you in a moment. But kind of moving into your mix approach, because again, your drum mixes are so sick. Do you have a philosophy when it comes to mixing? Are you very for kind of being heavy-handed with plugins, or do you try to get it all at the source? And kind of, I don't know, if you, let's say, were importing a bunch of channels into a session, kind of what do you do? What's your take on that?
Yes. So I do have a philosophy, I guess I can call it. My philosophy is that at the end of the process, I want that shit to sound good. I don't give a fuck what am I doing to get to that end part. So sometimes I do understand that some people prefer to go on the analog route. Some people prefer to go the digital route. I am right now a little bit more on the digital route, which means like just a lot of plugins. Basically, I don't have a huge, I don't have like lots of analog gear in terms of like compressors and preamps and stuff like that. But so my philosophy is that I'm trying to get a solid, clean signal from each mic, and I'll deal with it later. that's basically my philosophy. So I'm not trying to get to the end result through my mics, which again, I get that people are actually doing that, which is cool and dope. I'm trying to have a solid, very basic, not too extra mix, because my mixes can go like to very, very different routes. I want to be able, this is something that I've been doing for years, and I'm trying to constantly become better at it. And I feel like it's a little bit part of what I do. I want to be able to take to take an input from a bunch of mics and to make completely different mixes from that input. If I want to get on the raw route, if I want to get on more on like the hip hop vibe, on the soul vibe, like I just want to use whatever I got and to whatever I want to make. And that also means that like I am very much so a plugin head in that way. I'm just like in the computer. So yeah, so that's my philosophy, I guess.
Sick. And in terms of plugins, since you say that you're a plugin head, do you have any go-tos? Maybe someone here who's just starting their drum mixing journey. Kind of, what would you say in terms of your basic? Maybe EQs are using more channel strip stuff. I'd love to hear what's in your toolkit.
Yes. So for many years, I actually like used a lot of Ableton stock plugins. To be honest, I do think that like you can get like really cool stuff from stock plugins, but I do have a lot of plugins that are like my go-to. And like so in terms of EQs, I use a lot of the Pro Q3. It's just nice visually. You can see it. I used to use a lot the Wolf compressor. I use it less today. I tend to like, it's kind of funny. I've heard many people have that same thing, but within the years, I tend to like compress less. Like I remember I used to like use a Wolf compressor literally on every channel. Today I barely use it, but I still think it's like a very vibrant, multicolor compressor. I do love the DS10 by Excellent Audio. It's a really nice plugin in terms of just like if I want to make everything smaller and not necessarily hear the room, or on the contrary, like compress it in terms of like just hearing more of the room. I use the Pro L as the limiter, the Pro L2. I think there's a 3 already. I might need to get that. And yeah, I do love to play sometimes with signals through Ableton, just through the DAW with the actual like wave files, and like pitch it up, pitch it down, put it on Beats or Complex Pro, and then like up with it a little bit. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's like, I just got last year the UAD Spark thing, so that's kind of cool. Been using a few of the EQs and the preamps there, and yeah, then I want to grab my hands on a bunch of the Safari pedals, plugins that I really think that can really make everything sound very special.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, in terms of maybe some creative effects, since you've kind of approached your recording process on seeing things as more maybe kit mics, and you have a really cool room mic setup, do you ever tend to introduce more reverb when you're mixing? Like, do you bring that in as well, or do you rely on your room mics for that natural room reverb sound?
Definitely using reverb plugins, definitely. So in terms of mixing, I forgot to say before, something I said like I forgot about the kick mic before. By the way, this is the kick mic. I never put it that close because lots of times I use the kick mic as a room mic. I love using, so in terms of like my philosophy more is I'm trying to look at mics as my ears. So if I'll take my ear and like put it just next to the snare drum, it would kind of hurt, to be honest. But even if it wouldn't hurt, I would hear the snare drum a lot. But if I would go a little bit back and put it like in the crouch mic position or something like that, I can hear like the entire drum set with the snare drum. So lots of times I use different mics to just make specific drums be more vibrant.
Right on. So, guys, let's get to your questions. Someone sent one in, but feel free, guys, to go crazy in the chat and we'll get to everyone. So, first question, do you compress,
Do I compress
your input?
I'm sorry, but I do not. I don't compress any of my inputs. I do use compression sometimes after it, obviously, but I don't compress any of my inputs. Would I like to have a nice compressor and shove it up into the compressor? Sure, I would love that. But in my current situation, I don't compress anything into the inputs.
Right on. Someone commented, bro's shit is tight. Right on. Sick.
Thank you, my man. Eagles.
Yes.
Thank you.
Eric asks, do you record on FL or a different DAW?
I record on Ableton. Is there a reason why I record on Ableton? It's my first DAW that I ever touched, and I haven't moved since. So that's the only reason. That's
Awesome.
literally the only reason.
Yes, Ableton team represent.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, any more questions, feel free. Drum mixing. Oh, what's your
Sample rate? I'm pretty sure 41 usually. I used to let me check. Can you still see me right now?
Yes.
Because I'm checking right now. Sorry, yeah, 44 100. That's what I've been doing. Yeah. I think I used to do 48 and then I probably moved it in to make the computer go faster, I guess. To be honest, I have no reason why I'm recording 44 100, but that's why I recorded it.
Bob asked, what advice would you give to new producers who want to monetize their playing or sampling through online platforms?
Amazing question that I found myself doing for a full-time job, basically, accidentally. So maybe I'll just tell a little bit of how I got to what I'm doing right now. So like I said before, I don't know if you guys were here, I just found myself recording myself a lot and then like getting pissed on myself that it doesn't sound right, and then just being extremely obsessive of trying to mix it properly and play better, mic better, and yada yada yada. And I got into a point that I had a lot of files of myself playing, but it was only for myself. It was just like me monitoring and understanding and trying to capture my musical journey, basically. And then I found myself actually starting to monetize from it. So in terms of your question, I think it's something that is not necessarily spoken a lot amongst musicians, self-monetization, which I think is a very important subject. And I feel like it's not really also talked about live musicians a lot, because live music is more, you have to play live and you monetize from playing live and not doing it in the studio. What advice do I have? Playing or sampling through online platforms. I would say try, first of all, I would actually for real ask yourself like, what makes you tick? I feel like that's one of the most important things, because like there's so much shit right now, especially in the sample pack industry, and just like in terms of self-monetization when it comes to like musicians and producers out there. I don't even need to tell you, probably everybody sees the ads, everybody sees the new companies that open up every single day, especially AI companies and stuff like that. And that's what I feel like, and I feel like other people have told me that. I feel like you notice like the things that pop out usually are things that like I can probably say for sure that the people who make it dig it, and they know what they like, and they know what makes them tick. And I think that's a very important first part, to be like, what do I like? and then try to make it to a point that like I fucking think that's cool, or like this, like I can point my finger. Like sometimes I listen to musicians and engineers and mix engineers and stuff like that, and like I can literally point my fingers on albums and musicians that I know for sure that they like, because that's just part of their DNA. Like it's so part of what they do, because like you just feel it, you hear it, because you can sense that they researched and they played and they mixed and like they did the work. So I think that's the first thing, instead of just shooting all over, because like I do feel like, especially today, it's like it's very common that everybody does everything, and like you have so much stuff from everything, and like, but I, at least my point is like the people I really like what they do, like, they know what they're doing. You can point on the stuff that they love, and then they take it to themselves. And in terms of sampling through online platforms, I'm not sure what does that mean. Playing or sampling through? Oh, so,
Maybe.
do you mean like sampling from through online platforms?
Or Bob, do you mean selling like through some kind of like middle website type situation?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, because if it's like if you mean like selling through, yes, like Splice. So yeah, find what you can do, make that shit good, and then the most important thing in business, basically, start having a name, start having a brand. Think of what does your brand represent, and work very hard on making sure that people know what your brand is and how do you get to those people. And I think being very respectful is very important, because sometimes amongst the way you tackle people that are not necessarily respectful, and I don't think that those people are necessarily in there a lot. But and I think it's that you need to put yourself out there. That's the end of it. Basically, you just need to put yourself out there and talk to the people inside the companies, talk to the people who are your potential purchase base, like the people who want to purchase your product, and understand what people like, and do the research constantly, and then see who can you talk to, so you can come to their table or to their email or wherever and be like, here is something that I really think that you would like, because first of all, I know what you like because I did the research, and I think that you can use that, and hopefully, yeah, then that's how basically you make money.
Guys, if we don't have any more questions, I guess we can put a wrap on today. Tamuz, thank you so much for taking the time out and dropping gems.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. You guys are amazing, and I hope that I helped. I don't know.
Amazing. So we'll be in touch, guys. Have a great rest of your day.